Hey everybody, it's a really lovely fall day out. I was originally going to do the bending and sliding video as one big video, but each topic wound up taking about 10 minutes, so I figured it made a little more sense to do it in two separate videos. So, without further ado, here is Expressive Techniques Part 2 on bending. So that brings us to bending. Which is a great sound. Again, it adds another, layer of vocality to your playing. A lot of times a singer will kind of bend into a note like that when they're singing. It's a classic singing technique. And the human voice is probably the most, the instrument that connects with other humans the most. And so being able to bring singing techniques into your playing will make your instrument sound a little bit more vocal, which I think helps connect with your audience a little bit better. So, let's talk about bending a little bit. Firstly, I noticed that a lot of guys who approach bending on the stick, especially if they came from guitar or bass, will approach it like it's a bass or a guitar. And frankly, it's not, and the tension is different. And so they don't wind up getting the results that they want. They bend out of tune, the bends sound weird, and then they kind of shy away from it. And this was like my first 3 or 4 years of playing the stick. Really, I just wasn't good at bending. I kept trying to do guitar bends, and the tension was all wrong, and it just didn't work. So you're going to have to take some time to basically relearn the bending technique. If I want to get here, you're just bending the string up. I often add a little shake for a little bit more emphasis and vocal nature to it. And I find personally that half-step bends are going to be the easiest ones. But whole step work too, and you can even get a minor third in there if you really work for it. But the thing that you really want to do and what you really want to look out for is just making sure that you're in tune, right? And the way to do that, the way to tune your notes, there's a couple of different ways. One of them is to play your target note on the next string, right? I want to get here, so I play there. There's that quadrants thing again, which tells you that on the treble side at least, two notes in the same location on their quadrants will be the same note, one string apart. So, I want to get to this note. I know that this note is also this note. And then I go below that and bend into it. And then do it, I keep bending until they're in tune. If I overbend, I undo the bend a little bit. Here we go. From the whole step. There we go. From a minor third. There we go. And so on and so forth. And what you really want to do is try and, once you start tuning these bends properly, you want to be able to memorize the tension that your hand is using so that you can always reference it whenever you're playing. See, I don't quite have that perfectly, and I should work on that. Now, another thing that's important about bends is the speed of them. You can do a really fast bend, and it kind of just gives a different inflection to the note, like that. Or you could do a nice long slow bend and really kind of milk the distance between those two notes for what it's worth, right? And I do this in this lick on the upcoming Geff album in our song called Macroaggressions. I'm playing this lick. And I really... The thing that kind of makes that note special is the fact that it takes so long to bend into it. I hit the note and then immediately take a long time to bend back out of it. Without the bends, the run sounds like this. A lot more boring, right? And you know, underneath this, Tyler is playing this like crazy kind of baritone guitar, you know, riff thing, and Josh is playing this really cool drum beat behind it, and I got like, you know, some sweet succulent distortion on, and some nice delay behind it. The whole thing winds up sounding super epic, and the epic nature of it is added to because of how long I take to do that bend. And of course, you can use this as an embellishment as well. Obviously, like that, you know, the embellishment there being the speed of the bend. You can also intentionally bend out of tune, and I don't recommend doing this until you've really learned how to bend in tune, because you might wind up not fully grasping the fundamentals of bending, and then, you know, start trying to do this, and it could actually taint your technique a little bit. But what you're going to do is, you know, you're basically just going to bend the note and not care about the tuning as much, with the intention of giving like a little stank to the note. I love doing this. I do this all the time in my playing. You know, let's say I'm playing something, you know, just taking a solo. You know, and I did that right in there. I just kind of bent that note up before traveling back down. And all I'm doing is just kind of bending it up until I don't feel like bending it anymore, and then doing a soft release so that you don't hear this. You really don't want to do that, so you wind up doing kind of this soft release, like that, before traveling to the next note. And it just adds a little stank. You know, you do that on the like the third of the blues scale, and it, you know, it gives you that like kind of classic blues stank. You could really do that on any note. You know, one of my favorite guitar players talks about this exercise of, you know, taking the pentatonic scale and learning to bend from one note to the next, for every note in the pentatonic scale. Oops. Doesn't work as well on my high string because I got a tight one. And obviously, you can take the two of those techniques and start combining them, mixing and matching them wherever you like. And this is what, in my opinion, techniques are for, extended techniques anyway, is you get the technique down and then you just start throwing it in different places, in different contexts. And it's the combination of all of those things that really make your playing come to life. You know, you have all of these different options to make these kind of vocal choices, or these, you know, different sounds with your hands, and it's how you choose to use those sounds that really bring everything to life. So one of the cool things that I like to do to get kind of like a guitar whammy bar sound is I will be doing a slide. Like, let's say I'm going from here down to here, right? I'm sliding down there. Well, if I want to get kind of a whammy bar-ish sound, I will actually overshoot that note by a half step and then bend into it. Then you can kind of de-bend the note like that. And it works in the opposite direction too. You know, if I want to go from here to there, I can slide up to the fret underneath it and then bend into it. Kind of makes the slide sound a lot longer. Like that. And there's lots of different combinations. That's just like two of them together. I did this before, you know, where I like bent into the note. Like that. And, you know, really just take the techniques and play around with them. Try, you know, the idea is that you're trying to get less of a typewriter-y sound. And more of a, you know, smooth. more smooth, flowy sound to your playing. Anyway, take this, see what you can do with it. Hopefully this was helpful, and keep exploring.